أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. But remember last week we spoke about certain dua here. So the best dua you can ever ask Allah Azza wa Jal بما ورد من الكتاب والسنة, what has been revealed from Quran and Sunnah. Because these are the best words chosen by Allah Azza wa Jal. In any difficulty that you will go through, the best is already written down. Either the Anbiya have said it, or Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has said it, or Jalla wa Ala has taught indirectly for you to say. Like ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. It's an amazing dua. الدعاء ذنون. The dua which Jalla wa Ala has heard from the bottom, the depth of the sea, and he came out of it flying. From the bottom of the Hawd, from the depth of the water. These are chosen, and I think us having a strong mind, strong brain, is able to memorize it. Is able to learn something small. And you realize the brain is so strong, so amazing, that it's able to memorize countless amount of books. That's the power of brain. And Arabic language, Jalla wa Ala has chosen that language specifically because that language is, when you memorize it, when you recite it, it's very much in a flow that you're able to memorize it. You give it English, when you study fiqh, when you study textbook, you try to memorize it. So you memorize the textbook. So you say, you're memorizing. It's harder than you memorize Quran al-Karim. Quran al-Karim, it will come within a couple of hours. The following day, it will flow. But kalam al-rijal, but the words of men, is harder. Jalla wa Ala wa laqad yassarna al-Qur'ana lil-dhikri fahal min muddakir. I've made Quran easy to memorize, so he will memorize it. So I've made it easy. But kalam al-rijal, qila wa qal, is much more harder. So these words, these dua, for example, the dua trying to memorize. Allahumma inni abduk wa bin abdik wa bin amadik nasiyati biyadik madin fi hukmik adlun fi qada'ik as'aluka bi kulli ismin huwa lak sammayta bihi nafsak aw anzaltahu fi kitabik aw anzaltahu ahadan min ghayri 'indak أو استأثرت في علم الغيب عندك أن تجعل القرآن ربيع قلبي ونور صدري وجلاء حزني وذهاب أمري وذهاب حزني. This dua is very powerful. It's ajib. And then the muallif carries on. وكثير وذكر ابن أبي الدنيا في كتاب المجانين وفي الدعاء حسن قال كان رجل من أصحاب النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من الأنصار يكنى بها أبا المعلق وكان تاجرا يتاجر بمال وله ولغيره يضرب فيه الآفاق وكان ناسكا ورعا فخرج مرة فلقيه لص مقطع في السلاح فقال له ضع ما منعك فإني قاتلك قال ما تريده من دمي شأنك بالمال قال لا أريد مالا وليس أريد إلا دمك قال أما إذا أبيك فذرني أصلي 4 ركعات قال صلي ماذا يدك ما بدأ لك فتوضأ ثم صلى 4 ركعات فكان من دعائه في آخر سجوده قال يا ودود يا ذا العرش المجيد يا فعال لما يريد أسألك بعزك الذي لا يرام ويملك الذي لا يضام بنورك الذي ملأ أركان عرشك أن تكفيني شر هذا اللص يا مغيث أغثني يا مغيث أغثني 3 مرات فإذا بها بفارس قال أقبل بيده حربه قد وضعها بين أذنيه فرسي فلما بصر لص أقبل نحوه قطعه فقتله ثم أقبل إليه فقال قم. فقال من أنت؟ بأبي أنت وأمي. فقال أغاثني الله بك اليوم. فقال أنا ملك من أهل السماء الرابعة، دعوت بدعائك دعوة بدعائك الثالث، فقيل لي دع مكر، فسأل الله عز وجل يواليني فقتله. فقال الحسن فمن توضأ صلى 4 ركعات ودعا بهذا الدعاء استجيب له، مكروبا كان أو غير مكروب. That's what Al-Qayim has said. He said Abu al-Mu'arraq, he was a tajir. He was someone, he used to be a tradesman. So he was someone pious. So as he was traveling somewhere distant, somewhere far, he met a highway robber. Now the highway robber, what he did was, he actually came to kill him. He wasn't actually even after his money. Just for fun. Just for fun, he wanted to kill him. So what he said was, what do you want? If you want money, then take it. He said, I don't want any money. I want to kill you. And I'm not going to take the money. He said, wait, hold on. Just let me pray 4 rak'ah. Let me pray 4 rak'ah, and then you can kill me. He said, do your wudu and pray, but not for too long. I'm waiting. And there's no one there. Then he says that he made the dua, Ya Mughith aghithni, Ya Mughith aghithni, 3 times. And before that he said, Ya Wadud, Ya Wadud, Ya Dhal Arsh al-Majid, all the names of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Ya Fa'alun lima yurid, As'aluka bi'izzika alladhi la yuram, wa yamlikuka alladhi la yudam, binurika alladhi mala'a arkan al-arshik, and takfini sharra hadha al-yas. He mentioned the names of Allah Azza wa Jalla. And then he saw something come down from the 3rd heaven, all the way down. He came, and then the robber saw someone like a soldier type, like a fursan, like a warrior. And then he looked at him, eye to eye, and then straight away he got killed with his sword. And then the person, the tradesman was saying, who are you? He said, I'm from the 4th heaven. He came down. When he said the names of Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah Azza wa Jal heard it. So I'm one of the Jundillah from the soldier of Allah Azza wa Jal came down, and Allah Azza wa Jal answered your dua. That's the end. But listen up. Look what he used. Then he says, فَمَنْ تَوَضَّأَ وَصَلَّ 4 ركعات وَدَعَ بِهَذَا الدُّعَاء أُسْتُجِيبَ لَهُ. And the one who does 4 rak'ah and says exact those words, I'm going to send inshallah in the group, then his dua will be answered at the most difficult of time. This chain is actually hasn't much of sanad. Isnad is actually there. The ulama, Shaykh Salih al-Fawzan, he actually said it. There's actually no chain to it. But Ibn Al-Qayim, he remembers something. He will mention something that he believes has some sort of goodness in its meaning and has some weight involved in his work. Because this book was actually written 800 years ago. Okay, it's an ancient book. Alright. So Ibn Al-Qayyim, he mentioned, he actually writes down amazing, he will not gonna write it down unless there's no weight in it. Now, then he says, Al-Fasl, Dhuruf al-Du'a. Then he says that the timing of dua. وكثيرا ما نجد أدعية بها قوم فاستجيب لهم ويكون قد اقترن بالدعاء ضرورة صاحبه وإقباله على الله أو حسنات تقدمت منه جعل الله عز وجل إجابة دعوته لحسنته شكرا لحسنته أو صادف وقت إجابته ونحو ذلك فأجيب دعوته فيظن الظان أن السر في لفظ ذلك الدعاء فيأخذه مجردة من تلك الأمور التي قارنته من ذلك الداعي. وهذا كما إذا استعمل رجل دواء نافعا في الوقت الذي ينبغي استعماله على وجه الذي ينبغي فانتفع به وظن غيره أن استعمال هذا الدواء مجرده كاف لحصول المطلوب. Then he says that so many people they think that my dua will be answered dua will be answered merely, just the dua is being answered without any kind of an effort. Then it says, وَيَكُونُ قَدْ اقْتَرَنَ بِدُعَاء ضَرُورَةٌ صَاحِبُهُ وَإِقْبَالُهُ عَلَى اللَّهِ. Or it could be that he has conjoined together with the dua and something that necessitates with this dua some sort of goodness. أو حسنات تقدمت من جعل الله عز وجل إجابات دعوته شكرا لحسنته. Or some sort of goodness that he has done, and because of that goodness he has done for someone, and that person being thankful, your dua could be answered. Like for example, imagine for a mother who's got so many kids, but all of them have left him. But except only one person, one of his sons comes and helps the mama. The others are really, really busy. They don't come to see their mother anymore. And because that son, he makes an effort for his mother, Allah Azza wa Jalla listens to the call of his mother. The mother has made dua for that son, and his dua is answered. The son's dua is answered because of the mother. So it could be the fact that your dua could be answered because of the goodness that you have done. حَسَنَةً تَقَدَّمَتْ إِلَيْهِ. That you have done a good deed, some sort of good deed that you have given, that you have helped someone, or maybe a brother, you have helped a brother or a sister with something goodness, and because of that your dua has been answered. أو صادف وقت إجابة نحو ذلك فأجيب دعوته. Or you have made a dua at the right time. Could be Friday just before Maghrib, or after after the Fard Salah. فيظن الظان أن السر في لفظ ذلك الدعاء. And that person, he thinks that the secret actually lies there. It actually only lies there. Okay, he thinks that's the only way of doing some sort of goodness and from a dua to be accepted. Then he says, وَهَذَا كَمَا اسْتِعْمَلَ رَجُلٌ دَوَاءُ النَّفْسِ. But he said, Ibn Al-Qayim said that in that there is also goodness involved, without a doubt. Whatever he did, there's goodness, and of course it's very beneficial. Then he said, وَظَنَّ غَيْرَ أَنْ اسْتِعْمَالَ هَذَا الدَّوَاء بِمُجْرَدْ كَافٍ حصول المطلوب. Then he says that وظن غيرها أن استعمال هذا الدواء مجرد كاف حصول المطلوب. Then he thinks that this is the only way for me to achieve my objective. And this is a كان غالطا في هذا الموضوع يغلط كثير من الناس. And this is the problem. Where people what they do, that they in the chapter of dua, they're only going to go towards that direction. ومن هذا أنه قد يتفق دعاؤه باضطرار عند في قبر فيوجد. Then he says that certain people, they also think that only way for me to achieve a certain type of dua is also going to graveyards and going to places where there is adriha, or like big graveyards, or wali or a saint, and asking that such a person, they think that my dua will going to be answered there. Okay, so they think people, they take directions of dua in certain areas. They think my dua will only be accepted in that way or that way, and that's it. That's the only way I'm going to make dua. They will start doing tawassul with the wrong things. Al-Qayim is saying that dhuruf al-dua, the timing of dua, meaning that if the dua is not done according to Sharia, then dua will never going to be answered. The dua will never going to be answered, or it's not the correct way of doing. Meaning that Jalla wa Ala may give it to you, but Jalla wa Ala will also going to hold you accountable for you doing it the wrong way. So Ibn Al-Qayim, he says that for those people who think going to the graveyards, going to places where they think that's the only way to make dua in terms of me calling to Allah Azza wa Jal, that's the only way, and I'm just going to stick to that. Okay, with dua, you need to understand that the dua needs certain timing. It needs the way Jalla wa Ala has taught Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we all know the timings. We all know the timings, and we all know, and the heart is in the right place. That's the way you call Allah. It could be a whole day going by, you're not really feeling it. But then you feel it. then you feel it. Something might come in your mind, and then you feel it. You feel the effect in one's heart. Sometimes a person may go through a whole couple of days of sorrow. He just doesn't know why he's feeling down. But eventually, it will leave off. What came in your mind, you're probably not going to even know properly. And then that will ease off. And then a time will come, you know what, you feel a bit uplifted. When you feel a bit uplifted, that's the best time to make dua, because this time might just even go away. Then he says, Al-Faslu Shuruti Dua al-Mustajab. They say, Wal-Adiyatu wa ta'awudhat bimanzilatu silah. Then he says, calling towards Allah Azza wa Jal and seeking protection is like the level of a weapon. وَالسِّلَاحُ بِضَارِبُهُ لَا بِحَدِّهِ فَقَطْ. وَالسِّلَاحُ بِضَارِبِهِ. And that weapon, when it hits, it's not only about the sharpness of the weapon. فَمَتَى كَانَ السِّلَاحُ سِلَاحًا تَامًا لَا آفَاتَ بِهِ. He says that how many weapon was it actually not very much sharp, but yet it does the job. You know how the cooking knives and whatnot, sometimes it's not proper sharpened. It's been used many times, but it does the job. That's what it is. السلاح في من the dua بمنزلة السلاح. It's like that level of a weapon. Okay, you're not always going to look at the sharpness of it, but when it hits, it will hit anyway. وَالسَّاعِدُ سَاعِدٌ قَوِيٌّ. And the one who helps and aids you is always going to be strong. حَتَّى وَلَا مَانِعُ الْمَفْقُودِ. Even if the prevention is sharp, you think everything is sharp. But still, وَحَصُلَتْ بِهِ النِّكَايَةِ فِي الْعَدُوِّ. And it will hit its target to the enemy. وَمَتَى تَخَلَّفَ وَاحِدٌ مِنْ هَذِهِ الثَّلَاثِ تَخَلَّفَ التَّأْثِيرُ. And he says that even if one of them out of the three is not there, is not present, he's still going to take its course. فإن كان الدعاء في نفسه غير صالح أو الداعي لم يجمع بين قلبه ولسانه في الدعاء. It's like, or a person who conjoins or combines with his heart, with his tongue in the dua. أو كان ثم مانع في الإجابة لم يحصل أثر. Even a person who says it, or it's not, he feels or he doesn't feel it, there will always be going to be some sort of effect. Because why is he raising his hand up anyway? He feels, not always you will feel, not always you will feel the effect in your heart. But you will ask Allah. Sometimes you feel low, sometimes you feel high. Depending on your heart. Sometimes you feel high, sometimes you feel low. But meaning that the person has to continue making Allah Azza wa Jal, asking him, despite whatever the situation it may be. That's what Al-Qayim is saying. Does it make sense? Does it make sense? Good. How about this? You have to listen up for this one, yeah? Now this is Al-Fasl Al-Du'a wal-Qadr. Du'a wal-Qadr. Du'a and Qadr. وهنا السؤال المشهور وهو أن المدعو به إن كان قد قدر لم يكن بد من وقوعه دعا به العبد أم لم يدعو وإن لم يكن قد قدر لم يقع سواء كان سأله العبد أو لم يسأله. The question comes up actually, look brothers, he dealt with people at that time. So to understand the difference. At that time, there were people who never believed in Qadr. They called Qadariyin. So he dealt with some ajib people that you can be asking yourself, who can ask that? Do you know what I mean? He will do that. But he's saying that, look, there's a famous question at that time people used to ask is that, look, you make dua to Allah Azza wa Jal. You make dua to Allah Azza wa Jal. You asking him or not asking, it will take place anyway. That's a very famous question. You asking him or not asking him doesn't really matter. فظن طائفة من صحة هذا السؤال فتركت الدعاء وقالت لا فائدة فيه. Then there's a small community of people that they say that, you know what, let's leave dua, let's leave everything. There's no benefit in it. وَهَؤُلَاء مَعَ فَرْضِ جَهْلِهِمْ وَضَلَالِهِمْ, and among them there is very much in ignorance, very much in misguidance. وَمُتَنَاقِضُونَ, and they're very, they're very conflicting. فَإِنْ طَرَدَ مَذْهَبُهُمْ يُوجَبْ تَعْطِيلُ جَمِيعِ الْأَسْبَابِ, and if you're going to present that forward, then you're going to have to present all the reason and causation. فيقال لأحدهم إن كان الشبع وراء قد قدر لك فلا بد من وقوعها أكلا أم لم تأكل وإن لم يقدر لم تقع أكلت أو لم تأكل وإن كان ولد قد قدر فلا بد منه وطئت الزوجة أو الأمة أو لم تطأ. Then he says that, look, it's like saying there's no causation, there's no reason behind it. You just have to sit, there's nothing there. He said, look, with everything there's a reason, with everything there's a causation. He's saying if you're going to say there's no benefit in asking Allah Azza wa Jal for dua, then he's saying that, how are you supposed to, how are you going to have family? How are you going to have children? If you feel hungry, you're going to go and eat. Because you feel hungry, you're going to have to make effort. Everything has a cause. Then he says, وَتَكَايَسَ بَعْضُهُمْ, and also others they made an analogical reasoning. الاشتغال بالدعاء من باب التعبد المحض يثيب الله عز وجل الداعي من غير أن يكون تأثير في المطلوب بوجه ما. Then others have made analogical reasoning, saying that, making dua is a chapter of worship. Period. It's just a worship. Allah Azza wa Jal will reward you for the person who's asking Allah Azza wa Jal. There's no effect in it. There's no reason we do it. Simple as. ولا فرق عند هذا المتكيس بين الدعاء وبين الإمساك عنه بقلب ولسان في التأثير في حصول المطلوب. He says, the first one, the second one, there is no difference in them. فقالت طائفة أخرى أكيس من هؤلاء. And another one, the third people, we're always going to say, they use more analogy, and they said, ad-du'a is like a symbolic thing, or it's like a sign Jalla wa Ala is attached to his slaves in taking care of their needs. فمتى وفق الله العبد للدعاء كان له علامة وأمارة على أن حاجته قد انقضت وهذا كما إذا رأيت غيبا أسود باردا في الشتاء. Then he says, it's like you sing it's like a symbolic thing. There's no meaning to it. You do it or you don't do it, you get reward for it. Simple as. Then he says, it's like a dark cloud on the sky, in winter time. It's going to go eventually. That's it. There's no point of making dua. Just sit there where you are. There's no causation. There's nothing there. There's no qadr involved. Simple. And this actually makes sense for people who actually have very weak iman. They said, what? Yeah, I made dua many times before, but nothing happened. It's the reason being because the dua wasn't effective. Most likely they were very much in haram. And if you remember the last week I spoke about, there's condition for the dua. The condition to assess yourself, why is my dua not being answered? There has to be certain reasons why a person's dua is not being answered. For a person, he could be saying the wrong thing. He could be saying the wrong time. Allahu Alam, he could be in janaba and keep saying dua. Do you know what I mean? Allah Musta'an, do you know what I mean? He could be saying at a time when, he's not feeling it at all. He could be saying at a time when his head is in the right place. He's making dua to Allah Azza wa Jal. Or it could be very much involved in riba. Very much involved in haram. Very much involved in free mixing. Very much involved in doing things that he's very much into habit in doing that. He hasn't come out of it yet. So these are the people who are very much weak in their iman, always in complain that why my dua is not being answered. وقالوا وهكذا حكم الطاعات مع الثواب والكفر والمعاصي مع العقاب هي أمارة محضة لوقوع الثواب والعقاب لا أنها أسباب له. They said, look, this is just a worship thing, this is just this ruling of dua is like a worship which has some reward. والكفر والمعاصي, in kufr and disobedience with some sort of punishment. And here amara, it's just a sign purely just a sign or a symbolic thing where he goes through it, just the phase that he goes through. In it there is reward, there is judgment, there is punishment. La annaha asbab, there's no reason for it whatsoever. And that's what they have said. Ibn Al-Qayim, he says, the correct one is أنها هنا قسما ثالثا غير ما ذكره السائل. The third one is that, he hasn't, the question hasn't actually very much contemplated it. وهو أن هذا المقدور قدر بأسباب. And that everything is out there has a causation, it has a reason. ومن أسبابه الدعاء. And among the reasons or the causation is actually the dua. The dua is the one that will change the cause of your course. Do you know what I mean? The dua is the one that will change your cause, how you're living your life, the circumstances that you're in. Because of your dua, it will take a 360 turn. Do you know where I'm coming from? So the dua is actually a very ajib tool, amazing tool that will take another next. That's why Allah Azza wa Jalla said in what? He said what? If you Allah Azza wa Jalla فَجَعَلَ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا, He will make you an exit point. مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ, from the areas that he doesn't even know of. And I'm sure every one of you have a story to tell. Every one of us has a story to how did that happen? How can that happen? How did I just about made it? How did I make it? Because Allah Azza wa Jalla wanted you to do it. Allah Azza wa Jalla wanted this to happen for you. And sometimes He gives and He answers the dua of the believers, just to show you, just to make you believe, I'm there with you. Carry on what you're doing. Carry on what you're doing. Don't lose hope. That's why dua is a very ajib form of ibadah. It's an amazing blessing you're ever going to have. And that's the only thing we have in our deen. Open that, it's feeling a bit hot. You will realize among the Nasara, my brothers, you'll find everything with the priest. When the child is born, baptizing, you need a priest to come over and hit him in the head, maybe. Allah Musta'an. You'll find you have to put them in the water. Poor child, was in the water already anyway. You have to put him in the water anyway. That's baptism. Then when someone dies, brothers, you need the priest coming again. And then he needs to be part of the funeral. You need the priest to be there. In marriage, you need the priest to be there. Isn't that, why? Even for asking forgiveness, you need the priest to listen to you. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't finish there. You need to tell him everything. He's behind the door, Orthodox, behind the door. And then you tell him, Baba, I've done this, I've done that. So what, I feel very bad, X, Y, and Z. And then he touches your head, you know what? You're forgiven. You're forgiven. Come on.
Just like that. Just like
and he will forgive you then. Do you know what I mean? He will forgive you. So Allah Azza wa Jal, He said clearly, He said, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. إِيَّاكَ meaning there's no barrier. وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. When he asks of me, then I'm close to him. When the concept of dua was actually very much established in the Ummah, that's when the Ummah went forward. They had the concept correct of the bab of dua. When the dua was there, we're going to go there inshallah. Then he says, Umar كان يستنصر بالدعاء. Umar al-Khattab used to gain victory only through dua. ولما كان الصحابة رضي الله عنهم أعلم الأمة بالله ورسوله وأفقاهم في دينه كانوا أقوام بهذا السبب وشروطه وأدبه من غيرهم. فكان عمر بن الخطاب رضي الله عنه يستنصر به في عدوه وكان أعظم جنده وكان يقول لأصحابه لستم تنصرون بكثرة وإنما تنصرون من السماء. فكان يقول إني لأحمل هم الإجابة ولكن هم الدعاء فإذا ألهمتم في الدعاء فإن الإجابة معه. Then he said, Umar Khattab used to rely on the dua. And he never ever relied on the numbers of the enemy. He said that, لَسْتُمْ تُنْصَرُونَ بِكَثْرَةٍ. You're never going to win in the big number, remember this. You're never going to win in the big number. Rather, you will win from what's going to come from the sama, from from the above. وكان يقول إني لا أحمل هم الإجابة. He said I'm not in very much in concentration of my answering, but I'm very much in concentration with my dua, how I'm saying it and when I'm saying it and how I am directing my dua to Allah Azza wa Jalla. And if I'm very much in focus of my dua, then with it, my answer going to be coming down. Then he says, then he gives the verse. فمن ألهم الدعاء فقد أريد به الإجابة. And the one who makes effort in the dua, then he will always going to receive his answer. Then he says, أدعوني أستجب لكم. أدعوني أستجب لكم. And call upon me so that I will answer you. أدعوني أستجب لكم. Then he says, وإذا سألك عبادي عني فإني قريب أجيب دعوة الداعي. And if my slaves ask of me, فإني قريب, then I'm close. أجيب دعوة الداعي. Now أجيب دعوة الداعي, داعي كلمة اسم فاعل, meaning the one who's constantly asking. جل وعلا will continually give to the one who is an ism fa'il, meaning he's always asking. Then the hadith, it comes, what's the time?
11 past 9.
Then he says, the hadith Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, من لم يسأل الله يغضب عليه. The one who doesn't ask Allah Azza wa Jalla, then Allah Azza wa Jalla is going to be angry with you. Think about it. What does that show? The one who doesn't ask Allah Azza wa Jalla, he's trying to show he's independent. He's trying to take a name away from Allah Azza wa Jalla. Huh? Allah Azza wa Jalla, Al-Qayim, everything goes back to him. He is the one who, Al-Qayyum, Jalla wa ala, all he takes care of everyone's need. Everything is dependent upon him. When you're not asking Allah Azza wa Jalla, you're trying to show that, you know what, I don't need you. فَإِن لَمْ يَسْأَلِ اللَّهَ يَغْضَبَ عَلَيْهِ. And this hadith is sahih and authentic. وَهَذَا يَدُلُّ عَلَى أَنَّ رِضَاؤُهُ فِي السُّؤَالِ وَطَاعَتِهِ. It just shows that his Jalla wa ala is pleased with the servant. He will always be pleased with you, so long you're asking him. So long you're asking him, Jalla wa ala, his rida, his compassion and him being happy with you is for the person who is constantly asking. وإذا رضي رب تبارك وتعالى بكل خير في رضا كما أن كل بلاء مصيبة في غضب. Then he says, وذكر إمام أحمد في كتاب الزهد أثرا أن الله لا إله إلا أنا رضيت باركت وليس لباركني منتهى فإذا غضبت لعنته ولعنتي تبلغ من سابع في ولدي في الوالد ودل على العقل ونقل مفترح Time 9:30.
13.
Okay. Brothers, then he goes into about the Al-Qayim, he goes into the irtibat al-khayr wa shar, the connection of good, khabar, the news, and the evil in action. And this is something, it's another chapter on its own. Okay, another on its own that I wanted to say next week. It's a very long chapter. I want you to turn to something different today. I thought, I'll kind of mention it. Something might be a reminder for myself too. And that is Ramadan thing. That's something that we can do. something that we can do for the month of Ramadan. And this thing I'm going to say, my brothers, is something that goes to myself also, because none of us are perfect, all of us trying to do something as a reminder. And this is the advice that people might not always talk about. And that is, month of Ramadan is a time for new resolution. It's a new thing that you come up with. You search deep down your soul and find out a new thing that you can do. And this is where Ramadan comes in, where the Sahaba and the Tabi'in, they always think about, where am I going wrong in life? That's how they used to take it. Worship, it's a month of worship, at the same time, it's a month of resolution. Many brothers, what they do in the month of Ramadan, they make Ramadan as a time of zakah. They bring out the zakah at the time of the month of Ramadan. At the month of Ramadan, many brothers, what they do is take a whole time work, off. In the Muslim world, they don't work. Those who are living under the Jumhur, like Republican countries, they take day off. In Saudi Arabia, they have a whole month off. They take a day off the whole month, because that's the month where they will focus more on themselves. The month of Ramadan, the ulama, even this madrasa, in this place of learning, going to be shut. Everything going to be shut, meaning that I'm going to focus on myself. If I've got work to go to, I'm going to focus on my work, and I'm going to come home and I'm going to focus on myself. Meaning something has to change. Something has to change. And I think month of Ramadan, anyone who gets Ramadan, subhanAllah, I think it's one of the biggest blessings, because Rasulullah, he went up to the minbar, he said, Ameen, Ameen, 3 times. And one of the Ameen is that what? The one who doesn't get forgiven in the month of Ramadan, may he be annihilated. How can Ramadan come by and then he's not been forgiven? How can Ramadan come by and he's not asking Allah for forgiveness every single day? So meaning that there has to be some sort of resolution, some sort of change, some sort of behavioral change. Some sort of change. And brothers, we won't be able to change everything. That's the reality. We may even remain the same. But something has to be coming out of the thing that you're doing. Some of the things, because some of the things that it can be much more difficult to take you out from your life. Some of the behavior that you may go through, or some of the khisal or khasalat that may be there. Some of the things that may not be able to, may be much more harder to change. But some of the things is also has to be relearned. Has to be relearned. And this is where the Ramadan comes about. One of the things that everyone should search deep inside them is their behavioral change. Why am I doing that thing again for? Whatever the sin it may be. It could be even ghafla. It could be ghafla. It could be the ghafla because of a friend of mine. It could be a ghafla because something that's there, that is kind of there, shadowing me, making me fall behind. It could be a colleague of mine. It could be a family member of mine that's taking me back. So everyone has to kind of find out, and everyone has to make a resolution, but in secret. It's a month of resolution where they have to think about secretly where I'm coming wrong. Because I have one, you should have one also. Everyone has to think deep down what is the thing that needs to get changed. And it could be the fact that it will not going to be changed. But the effort has to be put in, and doing it the right way. It has to be the right way. Another way is to assess and to connect more with Quran al-Kareem in the long term. Connecting yourself with Quran al-Kareem in the long term. Because brothers, I'll tell you what happens. The reality is that the shaitan, for practicing brothers, where it attacks you more, is the forces. Allah Azza wa Jalla has given us certain trick of the trade, trick of the game. And you do this to gain reward. In the month of Ramadan, they're locked up anyway. They're the biggest devils. So when you do certain action, you're forgiven. It hates Umrah, it hates Hajj. It hates especially Quran al-Kareem. So the shaitan will come in a very beautiful way and try to manipulate you in saying, you know what? Don't make effort in learning, and don't make effort in listening, and don't even recite that half a page or a page that you should have been having. You know, everyone has to have a wird. Wird meaning is what? A small portion that they recite every single day. Everyone has to have a small portion that, you know, I'm going to listen to it, or I'm going to read it. If it's not every day, it has to be every 2 days. But there has to be a connection to Quran al-Kareem. You know, one thing I've seen among the brothers abroad, when they start practicing, what they do, they straight go to Quran, they run towards it, and then they put a long-term goal. A normal practicing brother, he will recite from middle of the Quran al-Kareem, Surah Al-Isra, he will Surah Al-Fath, he will recite Surah Al-Hujurat. You see, find out how come, like a layman kind of thing. But he's in the deen. You might be finding him clean shaven, but he's in the deen. But you start from some random surah, middle of nowhere. Then you realize, you know why? Because they actually have a long-term aim, connection that they have. And a connection that has to be, it doesn't have to be a long time, a long period of your day in it. It could, you kind of portion it out, something small. Something small. It could be after Salat al-Asr. It could be even after you've gone home, you've done your work, you open it up and you find out which surah you're trying to memorize, you're trying to ponder upon. Even it could be in the car, like, which surah you want to listen to in the coming 2 weeks, so you can memorize that later on. It could be Surah Al-Mu'minun, it could be Surah Al-Imran, Surah Al-Nisa, parts of maybe beautiful surah out there, so you listen to it regularly. So that's my effort. I'm going to make an effort of 1 month of Surah Al-Mu'minun, for example. Like the other day, I made sure I listen to Surah Al-Mu'minun every time I'm in the car. So straight away, I go to Surah Al-Mu'minun, and I try to revise that, get that in my head again. And the meaning is beautiful. I enjoyed it so much, So it could be you putting yourself another surah down. So having a connection, that's how you drive a connection, by putting things in order. Isn't it true? Mm-hmm. That's how you always have a connection, by putting a long-term goal. And this has to start at one point. And for the young brothers out there, they have to, saying young, everyone's young here. It's like I'm so old. What I'm saying is that when people in the age of 20s, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20s, they have to have a goal of memorizing the whole Quran before the age of 30, 35. They have to put that on forward. Because brothers, the one who memorizes Quran al-Kareem, he Jalla wa ala will find embarrassed to burn his body. How can he burn someone that he memorized my word? How can that happen? Jalla wa ala will say, اقرأ وارتقي, recite and elevate. كما كنت ترتل في الدنيا. The way you used to recite it in dunya. Recite and elevate. اقرأ وارتقي. He will recite and recite. He will recite beautifully. And then one of the person asked, what if he makes a mistake? What if he makes a mistake? He said, Jalla wa ala on that day will remove all the mistakes from his mind. He will just carry on reciting until Surah Al-Nas. Think about the thawab. Think about the amazing, the feeling. If someone who's got deep connection with Quran al-Kareem, in reciting, in teaching, in memorizing, he will always gonna have that feeling of tranquility and happiness wherever he goes. He'll always gonna know what's the difference between right and wrong. He'll always be upon thabat. But for the person who leaves Quran al-Kareem and goes on to other things and leaves Quran al-Kareem, and with all due respect, whatever he's doing, if Quran is not added to such a person's life, then there's not going to be no barakah. Simple as. When Quran al-Kareem was revealed in Medina, what happened? At night time, when someone was to go through the alleyway, all these to hear, from the different estates of Medina, they used to hear like bzzz, everyone just reciting, everyone just memorizing. Everyone just memorizing and reciting. Because they felt it. They felt that, this has to be kalamullah. This has to be the word of Allah Azza wa Jal. And I think, my brothers, lastly is having a healthy relationship with your own parents. For those who actually who are not having a good relationship with the parents. One thing I've noticed among brothers, what they do, they're very qasawa with the mom or dad. They don't have no kind of shame or empathy with their own mom, with their own dad. I've noticed it myself. I go to many houses at the same time, many people, they talk about this brother, 35-year-old, telling me how his mom treats him. He says, "Ya akhi, I'm so tired of her. She takes money from me, she takes this from me." That was 2 days ago. Okay. He's elderly person, he's got 2 kids. "Ya akhi, I can't save money, I can't do this." She asks for a big amount of money. How am I going to deal with this? I get so annoyed. I swear at her, I shame her, I do this, I do that to her. Can you imagine only him telling me this? And this happens in many Muslim homes. They have no good relation. Sometimes they will not have good relation with their own mother. They will desert them. They will desert them. They will not going to have no one. This means that you have broken relationship with your own mom. Okay, Al-Qati' al-Rahim, la yadkhulu al-Jannata Qati' al-Rahim. A person who breaks relation is never going to enter Jannah. Simple. The one who breaks relation, especially with their own mom. With their own mom. With mom, there has to be unconditional positive regards. Meaning, whatever you say, mom, I'm on it. I was in your tummy. I was created in your tummy. You can do whatever you want. I will stay quiet. If there's anything good, I say, I will tell you. I will tell you. And I said the same thing with the brother. I said, "Listen, akhi, speak to her nicely and remind her. Remind her the goodness that you have done to me. And remind her I'm going to be good to you. Remind her that, you know what, I will explain things to you and you have to be willing to listen. You have to cooperate. You have to cooperate." What comes in my mind, akhi, can you pause that please? أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب إنه هو الغفور